I'll start in a minute, but it is actually an informal meeting to discuss the future workshop that will take place in May 1st to 5th, and I hope you can also be part of it in the future. But now we start. Let me make a small introduction. Welcome to the research day of SUrF, which is an acronym for Speculative Urban Futures, which is a network, research network, and my task is to prepare some work for this Speculative Urban Futures network. And I first of all want to introduce our guests today, and later on talk what we are here to do this afternoon. And I go according to the list there, not in the format of importance, but it is quite appropriate. Andres Alver is Estonian architect. I've worked with him for a long time in Estonian Academy of Arts. He's probably the oldest
person on the planet.
oldest teacher in Estonian Academy of Arts. So he has the biggest experience.
Yes.
And of course he is one of the best known planners and architects in Estonia and Tallinn and even further. The second guest is also for us a long known Douglas Gordon, who has been the very important planner and urban designer in Helsinki, and I understand now in a kind of emeritus position.
Yes.
Also have been several times teaching here in Tallinn, and
I've been working with architect Andres Alver for the past 5 years.
all right.
on teaching the postgraduate years of 4th and 5th year at École.
Right, and it's the planning course.
Architecture, urban design and urban planning.
Hmm.
So it's all three.
Then we have Adria Carbonell, also a good colleague of mine from Umeå University, where we were running a studio together. At the moment he's teaching in KTH in Stockholm, doing also finalizing, I must say, his dissertation in planning. And the one major thing we've been doing with Adria is the history of urban development lectures for students. And I've been doing it until 18th century, and Adria then takes from the 19th century. And an important part of that lecture series is, of course, the modern theories starting from Barcelona, where he is from originally.
Right.
So Andres Alver, Douglas Gordon, Adria Carbonell, and me, SUrF. I'm currently working as a research and development advisor in the Estonian Association of Architects, and Estonian Association of Architects is one partner of this network, Speculative Urban Futures. Here is the list of the network. It is the Paris School of Industrial Creation, as we can read. It is the Elisava school from Barcelona, then Art School from Split, and Technical University from Delft.
Yep.
And actually, me and Adria, we were at the beginning of this network when we went to visit in Barcelona, in Elisava, Roger Paez, whom we know for a long time and have tried before scientific and research networks. And this time it was awarded a research money from Erasmus Plus, and so we have just started the network. And I'll explain slightly further what is our task today. But just to give a kind of introduction to the network, here are some of its goals. It's to design novel and versatile methodological frames for speculative thinking, research and knowledge production in relation to future design, architecture and environment. It is it is our belief that the traditional methods have really not produced results to these unexpected and unbelievable developments in the world that we are living in. So a kind of different approach, or a more speculative and comprehensive approach should be taken. That was the idea behind the network. Secondly, to develop transdisciplinary modalities of research and design, and here are the directions the different partners are following in this network. It's the game-based formats to develop unbelievable scenarios through games, multi-agent collaborative environments, counterfactual histories and storytelling, and then genealogies of sensing, imagining and intuiting, which is in my direction that we are trying to do in Estonian Association of Architects. And then the very practical result of this network in 3 years, which it takes, is to produce formats for common use and course components like curricula, digital repositories, archives, podcasts, and in our case it is mostly the continuous professional development podcast that we are aiming at, because all the others are architecture schools, but we present newcomers in professional background. And then the methodology, each of these partners will have their own methodology, and our methodology here, which I'm presenting, is then 2 keywords, can be taken to 2 keywords. One is SUrF and the other is future of work or future of labor. And I have, in a way, abstracted the directions of our research that would produce a kind of base for the further experimental workshops and courses. I have divided it into 2 directions. One is SUrF and imagosphere, 2 concepts of continuation of meanings in texts and images. And the second is something that concerns all of us. It is the future work, future of architecture and planning. And here are 3 keywords: design, composition and innovation. And I hope to demonstrate in a second that it is highly right time to deepen into these matters. SUrF was developed by Estonian-Russian scholar Yuri Lotman, and it is a kind of hidden or unveiled structure of language. And he mostly used it to discuss Russian literature and Russian language, but then he developed this concept of SUrF that has become quite popular all over the world. And it is a kind of abstract space of language, of vocabulary of language, but also the inbuilt meaning structures of language that are below syntax and grammar, and also below vocabulary. And I think it is now right time, in a way, to revise Lotman, because this is exactly what the artificial intelligence is actually doing now in its 2 formats. In one of its formats it looks at language modeling, and the success of language modeling is really staggering. And the other one is image generation, which also I hope to demonstrate that has taken to the heights that we haven't seen before. So SUrF there, and then I propose also to look into the meaning continua in images and in history of architecture and art, where the same meaning structures in a way carry on through the history. So from these 2 historical parts, we actually can project into the future where text and image is something that artificial intelligence is going to deal with. And just to provoke our discussion, I have here Edward William Felten, who published last April, published a study. He's a Princeton mathematician, and it is the occupational heterogeneity in exposure to generative artificial intelligence. And shortly what he was doing was that he took the tasks of 800 professional conducts in US Labor Department and divided it into the tasks and then tried to figure out which of these tasks AI is going to take over. And it's only this mathematical model, which of course we don't know exactly how it works, but it has two end results. And there he's looking at these 800 professions, and this is the language modeling artificial intelligence. And if we look at it, this is the telemarketers is the most vulnerable profession. But if we look at it carefully, we see that it is basically all the humanities professors of universities who, according to this model, will be out of jobs. And if we read English language, foreign language, history, law, philosophy, sociology, political science, you just name it. Well, it poses the question what the university is about, but this is not our main theme today. The second is the image generation artificial intelligence. Also, out of 800 professions, these are picked, and there I think all the art and architecture schools should be a bit worried. Interior designers are the first to go, then architects, art directors, landscape architects, even engineers are not there anymore. So all the design-based disciplines, actually, according to this mathematical model, are in a heavy threat of being at least disturbed, if not entirely abolished by artificial intelligence. Or one can say that yes, it has been predicted before, and it hasn't worked like that. But I think for our task here, as thinking of the future of our profession as well as education, I think we can take this matter of artificial intelligence quite seriously. And if it is not in that ultra mode of abolishing, it most certainly will disturb everything that we are doing. Now, my hypothesis that I also wanted to bring out here is that architecture actually has several hidden knowledge and value systems in it that artificial intelligence cannot really deal with yet, or hopefully will never manage to deal with. But unfortunately also these areas that I think are incredibly important and valuable for the future development, they are often not taught in universities or are skipped in the universities. And here I rely on the Oslo manual. It is the last manual of innovation, describing what is innovation and how it works, published in before COVID already, and during the COVID I think it really made a kind of comeback, that innovation is the main moving force through which we can manage the future. And then when I was reading the description of the innovation, I suddenly realized that it is exactly what planners and architects do. If they are well educated in their profession, they deal with composition on the level of semantic, functional and conceptual composition. And a kind of tangible subject matter of these different layers of composition are in a way crystallized now in digital image, its composition, and also part of design and innovation. So the innovation process that has been now described is very close to what we do in our everyday practice as architects and urban designers. Now, just to finish up the introduction for today, I also have an example or a kind of experiment I did myself. Mid-Journey, it's considered to be one of the best image generating AIs at this stage, and I did a small experiment. This is dragon year, so I choose a dragon, and
You did it yourself for this dragon picture, not?
Well, what do you think?
Yes, it's done by you.
It is done by me. And my task was, there was a dragon, and I thought, if I could multiply that dragon in artificial intelligence to make it dance or move in different formats, I will, in a way, easy up my work that I was doing. But that actually happened to be quite a difficult task. First of all, it was difficult to tell the Mid-Journey what a dragon is. It has a predisposition of Chinese dragons, which is entirely different from the European dragons. And then the question of dancing, it of course went into a sexist way of trying to synthesize dragon and a woman moving as a dance.
Which AI did you use?
Mid-Journey.
Oh, Mid-Journey.
Yeah, it is the best image generation, according to my mind, when I was checking which one to test.
You suggest to use something other, yeah?
No, carry on.
So it wasn't easy to explain. And then I tried to synthesize the image that I had into the development, but...
So how did you feed into Mid-Journey? How did you
image. I put the image in there, and then it has to be.
So you uploaded your
these
dragon.
three.
Yeah, the small dragon is.
And that comes these three.
Yeah. When I tried to make it move or dance in different position, which was my initial task.
We have the devil on the left.
And then I went more specific and wanted that exact dragon. And here we can see that it still has a problem with getting meanings right. It doesn't know where one of the line ends and what the line means, but it has a general understanding of 4 legs. It has skipped the wings. It has an understanding of horns, also the claws, all that is there, but actually quite poor. And one might say that, fine, it isn't there yet, it needs to develop. Which actually I did the conclusion for my particular task. But then there was an interesting thing, how would architecture fit into that world? And my partner Elisava then was trying to go into the architecture part. And it can, in a way, very easily fake images of buildings. As we can see, the perspective is fine, the stories are there, we can see inside, it has a certain meaning, structure in the images that it can produce.
This looks like Milan, the previous one.
But
you know the one.
Cosco Verticale.
But it really takes everything there is, and it's based on the majority of images that he's choosing. This is a beach house, and it's particularly difficult already to tell which is human-made or which is student or AI-made in the course. I would argue that this is how it goes, and it will be part of education very soon. Interior design is especially easy, and that actually I believe is also the case with Felton's study, that you can actually ask for specific products to be put into the image. So you will have a fully developed interior design with prices and shipping dates as soon as you finished it. So that made me especially worried about interior designers who are the first to disappear. Then, of course, the experiment went further, and the prompt for the AI was what SUrF would do. And these are the two images. So it can lie as well and speculate, because none of these buildings resemble anything I've been doing, except maybe the first one, if you found the prototype. But it can actually do a fake pretty fast. Now it's more complicated if it is planned into layouts of floors and the integration of that into a building. And that took some time. That took 2 days actually to work. Looks like plans. They are not. There are so many mistakes, but they fake as images, they fake the plans. But you can actually go deeper and make them change so that they are actually plans that can be used. But then further on, out of the plans, it has a trouble to become three-dimensional. But it's just a matter of teaching, because today, after 2 days, it already could match the vertical sections, horizontal sections, and then try to build a building out of it.
I like the carp on the first floor.
So, on the carpet, actually.
Like a double roof, pitch roof. Or...
So, it is coming very fast. And then when you have it, then you can disturb it into many different formats. So the future work, which is one of our directions, really is something to look into. But now in the SUrF research methodology is a certain structure which Architects Association should try out. And I have called it establishing status quo baseline in design languages. And it is a workshop that will be held in May, 1st to 5th of May. And our task today is actually to discuss planning in general, and also the area which this workshop is going to test the architectural planning and planning design languages on. And the idea is that we make a brief for that workshop. The aim of the workshop is to find out how the different types of design languages work at the moment, and then also create a task brief for other members of this workshop or this network, who would then test it on their environments. And in the year 2, we will test somebody's else brief here, either game-based or something else. So that is the idea. And it is not really the planning per se that we are interested in, but the languages of that planning process. And to somehow test the current situation, I have divided it into 4 teams. It is the traditional current office workflow, so it is as if the work comes into the office today. Probably we should take a younger office. Then pre-digital hand drawing of project artifacts. So the pre-digital world, as much as it is possible. And here I have reserved this for us, me and Andres Alver, although we are in a slightly better position, but it's not a competition really. It is really testing, experimental workshop. So we will be drawing this plan together.
Awful.
I hope it would be. Then the next one is PhD students will try virtual reality-induced sketching and designing, which could be called hybrid media. And then there is a special team, has to be decided yet, but it's a non-professional designing team, which uses only text and artificial intelligence, whichever artificial intelligence they want to use. So I would like to see how far they come outside of profession. Yes, Douglas.
Just a comment on the VR. That's virtual reality, which is not based on real time, it's based on fantasy. What about AR, which is more about real time, augmented reality, which is that you can see the environment around you and still create visions.
Mhm.
But the virtual reality, you can't see the existing environment, and the environment that you see is made up. So the two are very, very distinct. And AI is going more clearly towards AR, not
Yeah.
VR.
Yeah, but I'm not restricting here. I leave that to the team
I
to
would
decide.
but I would add in VR stroke AR,
Okay.
augmented reality.
Yeah, because
And I'd
what
put
is
AR first.
what is happening at the moment in the technology is that the VR is actually augmenting the reality through cameras into that world.
Yeah. But
So
you have full vision.
as a technical device, it is the VR device that would actually take the advantage, I think, not the see-through glasses that are there coming up already today.
Yeah, but that's the way the industry is going. It's going through AR, not VR. It's a bit like 1980s VHS against Betamax.
I'll add it there, but I didn't restrict it,
Okay.
that AR
Right.
is forbidden. I was looking at it as a general term, as virtual reality
Yeah.
altogether.
But
I'll take
the
that.
starting processes are very,
I-
very different.
I'll add AR to it.
Right, please.
All right. So 4 teams, 2.5 day workshop, planning area I'll show in a minute. And each team consists of 2 principal designers and 1 observer. And then the observer is to report back what these 2 guys were doing when they were designing it. So we have a kind of report of that experiment. If it works or not, I don't know, but it most certainly will produce some results in the current imaginaries of design work, and hopefully we will have at the beginning of next year, we could have a bigger exhibition.